Welcome to Lecture 15 on Rights Valuation. A friendly preamble is appropriate here. It is assumed that you already know the definitions of terms involved in this lecture, such as the meanings of rights, subscription price, X rights, rights on, net proceeds, and flotation cost. If you're unfamiliar with these terms or with the concepts of a rights offering, please review the relevant areas in your textbook. The topics we will cover in this lecture are 1. The definition of the variables involved in rights valuation. 2. The formulas involved in rights valuation. 3. We'll work through a numerical example. And 4, as always, a practice question for you to work on after this lecture. The variables involved in valuing a right can be roughly divided into two groups: the dollar and shares group and the rights valuation, or as I sometimes call it, the alphabet group. So these are the two groups that we have. That's one group, and that's the second group, the alphabet group. The dollars and shares group include the dollar amount of funds raised from the rights offer, the dollar percentage flotation cost, the number of new shares, and the number of old shares. Flotation cost is the fees that company must pay to achieve the rights offer, such as paying an investment dealer to take care of the issue. The alphabet group consists of all the numbers that come with an alphabet representation. These are subscription price, as denoted by S. The subscription price is the price that must be paid by a shareholder for each new share from the rights offer. Second one is the number of rights needed to buy one new share, as denoted by N here. The third one is the theoretical value of one right, as represented by R naught here. And the fourth one is the rights on share price, as represented by M naught. This is the share price before the X rights date. And the fifth one is the X rights share price, which is represented by ME. This is the share price after the X rights date. And last but not least, the X rights value of a right, as represented by RE there. This is the value of one right after the X rights date. What are the formulas relevant for rights valuation? Well, conveniently enough, like the two rough groups of variables we had before, we can also divide the relevant formulas into two rough groups. Those formulas related to the rights valuation and the alphabet variables, and those formulas related to the calculation of flotation costs. So group 1 and group 2 on this page here. In the first group of formulas, we have the formula to calculate the subscription price, which is equal to the dollar amount raised divided by the number of new shares issued from the rights offer. So 1. The second formula in, before we move on, so notice that there are only three variables in the first formula right here. So we have that number of shares, funds raised, and the subscription price, right? So as long as we know the values for two of the variables, we can find the value of the third. For example, if we know the values for subscription price and the number of new shares, we can then calculate the dollar amount raised in the rights offering as subscription price times the number of new shares. So this logic of manipulating the formula to get you to the one variable that you want applies to all the formulas that you can see on this page. So let's move on to the second formula. So the second formula in this first group is the one that helps us calculate N, the number of rights needed to buy one new share. This is simply equal to the number of old shares divided by the number of new shares. The third formula is to calculate the value of one right, and this is the important one, R naught, which is equal to the rights on share price, that one, minus the subscription cost or price, divided by N, which is the number of rights required to purchase one new share. The fourth formula is used to calculate the X rights share price, or ME, which is equal to the rights on share price minus the value of one right. The fifth formula in this group is the one for calculating the X rights value of right, that means RE, which is equal to the X rights share price that we calculated in 4 minus the subscription cost, all divided by N. And those are the 5 that are in group 1. In the second group, group 2, of formulas, we have the dollar flotation cost, which is calculated as the amount of money raised minus the net proceeds, which makes sense because wherever you raise minus whatever you will receive is equal to whatever the other guy is charging you, right? The second formula is the percentage flotation cost, which is equal to the dollar flotation cost divided by the funds raised. Note that we can substitute this, which is dollar flotation cost, with that. So you can put it in there, and then you get percentage flotation cost is equal to funds raised minus net proceeds all over funds raised. So formula manipulation, they are fun. And now, without further ado, let's move on to our numerical example. Here we have a company X, Y, and Z that has a rights offer to sell 12 million shares at a subscription price of 1.2 or $1.20. This gives us the number of shares, or the number of new shares, is equal to 12 million, and S, the subscription price, is equal to $1.20. Well, that was messy. So $1.20, and let's see. Okay. The next sentence gives us the record date and the X rights date. The number of shares outstanding before the X rights date is 48 million, which gives us the number of O share is 48 million. The shares were trading at a closing price of $3 per share 3 business days before the record date, which gives us the rights on share price M naught of 3. The net proceeds from the rights offer is 13,392,000. So then we are asked to find N, R naught, M, E, R, E, and the dollar amount raised, the dollar flotation cost, and percentage flotation cost. Well, it might look like they're asking for a lot, just given like 5 variables that we have here. But it is not impossible. It is, in fact, very possible. So let us move on. We first write down what we know. The known variables are, as before, number of new shares is 12, followed by 60, and we have the number of O shares is 48, followed by 6 zeros. Subscription price is 1.2. Rights on share price is 3, and we have net proceeds is equal to this clunky number right here, 13,392,000. So for question A, we're asked to calculate the number of rights needed to buy one new share, which is denoted as N. So using the formula for N, which is equal to number of O shares divided by number of new shares, we get number of O shares 48 million. Number of new shares is 12 million. That gives us 4. So N is equal to 4, which means we need 4 rights to buy one new share. For question B, we're asked to find the value of one right, denoted as R naught. We use the formula for R naught. And this is an important formula to remember, by the way, so let's not forget it. So m naught minus s all divided by m plus 1. We know m naught is 3, s is 1.2, n is 4 plus 1. Calculate that out, you should get 0.36, or as we say, 36 cents. For question C, we are asked to calculate the X rate's share price, which we can find by using the formula ME is equal to M naught minus R naught. M naught, as we defined before, is 3. R naught, as we found before, is 0.36. And that should give us 2.64. That is, the share price after the rights offer X rates is equal to $2.64. For question D, we calculate the X rate's value of one right using the formula RE is equal to ME minus S all divided by N. X rate share price is 2.64. We calculated before. Subscription price is 1.2. N is 4 as calculated before. And doing all the calculation, this should get us to 0.36. Notice that this is equal to the same as R naught, and this should always be the case. The X rights value of a right must be equal to the rights on value of a right. If those two numbers are different, then something has gone wrong in your calculations, and you should go back and check all your calculations. For question E, we calculate the dollar amount raised in the rights offer, which can be calculated as the funds raised is equal to the number of new shares times subscription price. So where did this equation come from? Remember the the formula that we had before for subscription price, which is equal to funds raised divided by the number of new shares. This formula just came from a manipulation of the formula into something that we want. We want the funds amount of funds raised, and we have the number of new shares, and we have subscription price. So number of new shares, 12 million. Subscription price, $1.2, and that gives us 14,400 followed by 3 zeros. And that's the amount of money raised gross from the rights offer. So for question F, we calculate the dollar flotation cost. Dollar flotation cost is equal to the amount of money raised, minus the net proceeds as before. So net, and we know funds raised is 14,400 followed by 30 minus the net proceed, which was given as 13,392,000, and that gets us to $1,008,000. Okay, so then for question G, we find the percentage flotation cost, and that is just equal to whatever the dollar flotation cost is divided by the funds raised. And in this case, we have 1,008,000, all divided by amount of funds raised, 1,400 followed by 30. Doing the calculation, you will find 0.07 or 7%. That means the percentage flotation cost, or the fees that the company must pay to issue this rights offer, is 7%. Well, that was not too bad. So now it's your turn. Happiness is practicing, so try to see if you can do the necessary calculation of rights valuation in this question. You are, as usual, provided with the check answers here. And now Go forth and calculate. Here ends the lecture on rights valuation.